I come from a family that was struck. We were living in the small village before the war, and then we were refugees for a decade. I never had this kind of influences in the way that I could grab something from my home. So literature was something that was happening like a miracle from the outside world. And luckily, my teachers were the ones kind of telling me what can I read and introducing me to some books that also meant to some poetry. And I think that the first poem I wrote was in 4th grade. Yes, it was about colors or something like that. And this is the first time I realized that when you write, you can do something different. Funny thing, you know, I don't think that our outside success is in this way relevant for us as writers. I mean, it is if it's financial, because this is something that we also don't talk about a lot. But I think that the fact that a lot of writers cannot afford to be writers is a major question today, and we all fight to write. So something is wrong with this, because fees for books are so small that what you get is sometimes not, at least in Croatia, not even enough to cover 1 month of living. So I think that basically what I am proud of, I think that staying on my own way is something I am mostly proud of, because when I published my first book, it gained a lot of awards, I think 5, 1 international, and it was very interesting to see what will happen when my second book will come out. And it was completely different, because I wanted to give it a different voice. And I stayed. Now I'm writing my 4th book of poetry, and I see again that I'm changing, and that I'm simply only looking at my own border and thinking, okay, this is something I have to cross, not thinking what is everyone else doing, how they are doing it. And this is something that I really find like a success, that I kept my own voice, and that I still have this feeling when I write. I think of it as my greatest success. I still believe in poetry. I think that keeping faith in poetry is a beautiful, not only, I would say, luxury, but a privilege, and I'm really happy that I still have it. Maybe I don't have, I mean, I have my own voice, of course, but I really love to change from book to book. Sometimes I'm metaphorical, sometimes I'm less metaphorical. I think poetry is something that at the same time you can mystify and unmystify. So I'm, you know, against this mystification, like, okay, this is now a poem, I will not touch it. I deeply believe that we are connected, all of us, and that when we write, that we have to touch this something deeper than we usually meet. And that this deeper ourselves is connected to the world outside. When I write, I usually always write down things. I have, I think, 2 notebooks in my, you know, my backpack now, and I write down all the time. You know, I never let it out. I write down even in my cell phone if I, for some case, but I always do have a notebook. Don't have it, and then I come back to it, I rewrite it, and then I work on it, sometimes for months, it depends. So I really take it like slow and deep work, because I think that sometimes we don't think of words as something very powerful, but I think that everything we live is a story. So I'm thinking a lot about it. Maybe it's not even visible when you read the poem, but I really think a lot about it. I investigate a lot, I read a lot. I would always say beauty. And when it comes to physics, physics is beautiful because the elegancy of the solutions in the universe is beyond our understanding. And then you realize that in action, of course, we made it a language of mathematics because somewhere we also made a language. So mathematics is also a language. It is the language of the nature. So, and then when this language is in front of you and you see these equations and you see the symmetry, the simplicity, the beauty of it, you're really realizing, yes, that there is this kind of need of the universe to be as simple and as beautiful as it can be. And I think that poetry is kind of the same, because you have to explain something happening in the relation of you and the outer world, as a human being. I think emotions are our primary language, before we develop the language to say, this is how I feel, we felt. So we have this world of emotions, and emotions that you feel are always, kind of telling you what is your reaction towards the world and what is world doing to you, that you feel some kind of either stress or relief or whatever. And this world of emotion, we just gave it language, and even more beautiful language, we gave it poetry, gave it stories. I have a diary, so I can have to say reconnect to some experiences from different points of time, and it's very beautiful to see our mind at work at writing story, because there is an event you can describe. 2 years after, you have a story about that event, which is not the event. You already made a story. 4 or 5 years after, your story now, in this point of time, is not even the same to this story, nor to the event. It is a pure, almost fiction with one root. And this is literature. Our memory is a literature. All the time, I think even the memory of the world is a literature. But then we have to be aware of the responsibility we have. Because if we can write our own stories, we can write anything we want, but we have to be careful with it, because there is a core event, of course, but the story is ours. And also what is happening with the world is our responsibility, because we always have power to write a story. What is the theory of literature? Theory of literature is simply made by man still. So someone said this is a theory. It's not a universal law, for example. It's not physics. It's not equation that we looked and, oh yes, this is working, and because protons are acting like that, electrons like that. No, this is someone saying text is acting like that, I will call it this. But it doesn't mean it's the only rule, it's the only way. It's just someone saying something and interpreting it, which also doesn't mean that you don't have to know it to break the rules. I think it's very important to know them very well, to know how you break them.